Good evening to everyone. We'll be calling our commission meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. At this time, we'll ask Pastor Aldridge Young to come and lead us in our invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Let us bow for prayer. Dear Lord, as we come before thy presence, we come humbly submitted unto a God that is almighty, all-knowing, and all-present. We come now, Father, asking of your presence and your guidance and for this commissioners' meeting of the Lynn Haven, the city of Lynn Haven. We follow instructions of your word where you said that we are to pray for our governmental officials. When we come praying for them, everything that be said and done would be done in thine will. And it is our desire, O Father, that our will be lost in thine. We pray this prayer in Jesus' name. Now we will do the pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Young. At this time, we will move to agenda item number 3, our public hearing. And our public hearing will begin at 5:32 p.m. We're going to look at the tentative millage rate for 2021 tax roll. And at this time, we will have any comments from the public.
Can you read the resolution?
Right, you can read the resolution and make your statement.
Sure. This is Resolution 2021-09-368. Excuse me, we're going to go to the second one instead of the first one. I think we changed this around. And that'll be Resolution 021-369. This is a resolution passing the adoption of the millage rate. A resolution of the City of Lynn Haven of Bay County, Florida, adopting the tentative levying of ad valorem taxes for Bay County for fiscal year 2021-2022, providing for an effective date.
Public comments? No comments from the public? From the commission?
And if the city manager wants to go ahead and do the statement announcing the
Yes.
proposed millage and the percentage over the rollback rate.
Yes. The name of the taxing authority is City of Lynn Haven. Rollback rate. The rollback rate is 3.9403. The percentage of increase is rollback rate is of 4.05. The millage rate to be levied is 4.1.
Any further questions from the commission? All right, we need a motion to adopt this resolution.
Move to approve.
All right, we have a motion and a second. City manager, if you'll call the vote.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Parno,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes, motion passed. Now we'll look at the tentative general fund and enterprise budget for fiscal year 2021, 2022. City Manager, if you would read the resolution.
Resolution of the City of Lynn Haven of Bay County, Florida, adopting a tentative budget for fiscal year 2021-2022, providing an effective date.
Any public comments? All right, no comments from the public. We need a motion from the City Commission for adoption.
So moved.
Second. All right, any further discussion from the City Commission? No further discussion. City Manager, if you'll call the vote.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Commissioner Perna,
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge?
yes.
Commissioner Tender?
yes,
Mayor Nelson?
Yes. Motion passed. This public hearing closes at 5:36 p.m. Now we have our next public hearing, which will begin at 5:36 p.m. And this is for the tentative Community Redevelopment Agency budget for 2021-2022.
I'm sorry, we had to change a couple of things around, so. A resolution of the City of Lynn Haven, Bay County, Florida, adopting the tentative Community Redevelopment Agency budget for fiscal year 2021-2022, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Are there any public comments? No comments from the public. We need a motion to adopt this resolution.
So moved.
Good evening. Rich Walker, 1106 Michigan Avenue. Sorry, I had to come from an area where we could hear you possibly. You can't hear you back there at all.
Okay.
And that was pronounced from the last meeting also, when you didn't get a chance to have all the people speak. If I understood this correctly, this deals with the redevelopment agency, the budget? Is that the one with you? Okay. The word ex officio here is this board going to make the decision to accept the CRA board's budget? Is that what's going to happen? How can you do that? CRA board declares its own budget, agrees with its own budget, and reviews its own budget, and passes it. You're sitting here as the city commission, not the CRA board. I'd just like to know how you can do this.
You just had a CRA meeting and the CRA board where they passed the CRA resolution for the CRA budget. And now this is incorporated into our entire budget as part of the city's budget. So they did have the board meeting to pass by resolution the tentative budget for the CRA.
I mean, that's the one we just had,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Yeah, which somebody got up and said, you know, okay. I understand what you're doing, and that's why the word ex officio is there. Is that correct? Because that means you don't have any official standing with it.
No, I mean, that means that this, because the city commission sits as the CRA board, if it was a different board, they would not sit ex officio. Since it's the same board members, they can sit ex officio and make decisions as a CRA board. Of course, we already had a separate meeting a couple hours ago, and they adopted it. This is, like the city manager said, incorporating it into the city's portion. But the reason they can sit ex officio is because it's the same board members for both the commission and the board.
City portion. Correct. Thank you.
Any additional public comments? All right, is there a motion to adopt the resolution?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
yes,
Mayor Nelson?
Yes. Motion passed. Public hearing closed at 5:40 p.m. At this time, we'll move to agenda item number 5, public commentary.
Thank you, Reverend. Honored Commission. I'm Bob Schultz. I live at 509 Pennsylvania Avenue, and I'll take my mask off so you can hear me a little bit better. And coming here tonight, I got to 8th Street and almost ran your barricade because I didn't realize you were going to block off the street where the new city hall is going to be built. Assume you would. But I drove around and then I noticed there was a barricade on the other side too. So between 8th and 9th Street on Pennsylvania Avenue, you blocked off the street. There was no public notice that I know of, which is, you could have somebody, and a lot of these streets, people barrel down the streets. Barrel means speed. Okay, I'm going to just make a suggestion that maybe you could put a flashing light on either side, because you're looking for a possible accident, lawsuit, whatever. I'm just talking about safety for our citizens, okay?
Thank you.
Jody Moore on Amherst Street. I just wanted to bring up a couple of things, and I'll speak to something else later. First of all, I wanted to talk about the fact that everybody always says to email the commission, and I have done that numerous times, and Mayor Nelson usually answer, or at least respond, and the only one who ever answers my emails is Judy Tender. So when everybody says, to email, you don't always get answers back. So I just wanted to point that out. Maybe it's just I'm not getting the answers that I'm requesting. So just making a point of that. Whenever I speak to somebody in person, I usually do get an answer that way, but I gotta kind of hunt you down. I also wanted to ask, we were going over the budget earlier. There had been a discussion, and I haven't heard a thing about it since then. It's been a couple of months about getting a traffic engineer, and not just for the project at the school. I'm talking about for the whole city. You guys had talked about that, and especially that would impact where I live. So I just wondered what happened with that. Amanda Richards had actually brought that up about getting a traffic engineer to study the traffic issues in the town, since that's a big issue here. I also wanted to, so maybe somebody can answer that later when you guys give your reports. I also wanted to bring up something that was discussed at the pre-commission meeting. There was a discussion of having a budget committee, a citizen budget committee, and I really highly encourage the commission to consider doing that. I think that would be very helpful, and since you discussed wanting to have transparency and have public trust, I think that would go a long way towards that. So I highly encourage you all to really consider having that. And it's not something that can happen, is probably going to happen with this budget, but maybe it's something going forward in the future that you guys could do. Because that kind of leads into a question I had about the signs that are up in Lynn Haven. I think there's about 10 of them, the ones that say Historic Lynn Haven. They're very nice signs, but it's my understanding, and I think the money came out of a grant, which, that's what I understand, which is great. But I don't know, was that money only going to be allocated towards signs, or could have been spent for something else? Because it's my understanding that those signs cost $6,000 a piece, and there's 10 of them, if that's true. That's $60,000 for signs. And someone told me that they could make a sign like that. In fact, a couple of people said that it should not have been any more than $1,000 to make those signs. So again, if I'm wrong, correct me, address that. It just seems to me that even money that's a grant money, and if it's for beautification, so forth, could have been spent in a different way. It just seems that would be fiscally responsible. But okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Ryan Scray, Missouri Avenue. Just wanted to come up today and first start off and say thanks to all the commission for voting back when on the block party, 5-0. That was a good call. We had a great day out there. I missed most of it because I ended up having COVID. Recovered now, thankfully. But I just wanted to say thanks to everybody in the city staff that helped make that possible that day. Chief Ramey, Chief Delange with their staff came out and helped, and Bobby and Chris with the barricades and all the different things they helped with, and Greg Kidwell for the unexpected use of their meter for the water. Our initial source for water had difficulty, and we had to change. Also, you know, the local businesses there on Florida Avenue, including Judy's Diner, the Wild Root Cafe, everybody involved with making that possible. It was a really good turnout. A lot of people had a lot of fun. I know a couple of you at least had attended at some portion during the day. And a lot of good feedback on it, learned a lot about it, and so I look forward to coming back in front of you guys for the next one, which I think is going to be in springtime instead of in the middle of summer, because that was too hot. So, but I just wanted to, you know, show my appreciation for that. It went really well, and sounds like it's definitely something that people want done again. So if anybody wants to help out, feel free to reach out. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm not sure if this is the time. I'm new at this. I was here last meeting. I mentioned this product called concrete canvas for lining all of our ditches, and at the time I wasn't even sure if it was available in the United States. It is. There's several companies. I talked to Concrete Canvas USA. They're based in Houston, Texas. I spoke with their vice president, Mr. Larry Larson. Told me about our runoff problems that we're having here, and that I was trying to get our city government interested in this product. And I mentioned we were suffering a tax increase to try to finance correcting this problem. And you know what he said to me? He said, I don't know why they did that. That's paid for by the federal government. And it reminded me of something that I knew that I had forgotten, is that all these storm runoff systems are federal jurisdiction. They're under the EPA and the Army Corps of Engineers. I have sent emails to the EPA and the Army Corps of Engineers concerning this problem that we're having, and maybe they'll step in and help us. But they sent me PDFs with information on their product. There's some really good YouTube videos about it. Even in, what's that country where everybody lives on 10 cents a day? Bangladesh. They're lining all their ditches and canals with it because they know a good investment when they see one. I made a cover sheet with all their contact information. They have an office here in Tampa that handles all the Florida business. A guy named Enrique, I'm not going to try to say his last name because I'll butcher it, but the information is here, and I'm trying to do my part to make it available to you. Just leave it right here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public commentary?
Jerry Parker, Red Place. I have a question that maybe y'all can answer when you have your reports. I was wondering if there is some kind of contingency plan if the city manager was out for an extended time, whether it would be illness or family emergency or something like that. What is the contingency plan to fill her spot when she's out? Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Additional public commentary? If there's no additional public commentary, we'll move on to the mayor's report. Within this report, I'd like to highlight a few things. First, we'd like to highlight community engagement. These are just some of the high-level things I've been able to do. One, was able to attend the Rotary Club meeting a couple of weeks ago and was able to have a great breakfast with the Rotary Club, as well as be able to just provide an update to them on the things that we've been doing within the city since becoming mayor. And so it was a good time of fellowship and a great group of people to be with that morning. And so they really do love Lynn Haven and support Lynn Haven. Some of you might have enjoyed the pancakes that they cooked during the 4th of July celebration when they cooked it for us that morning. So was able to be a part of that with them. Also was able to attend the Lynn Haven block party. Had a morning engagement, but was able to come that afternoon and be able to walk down Florida Avenue. So it was, good seeing different residents out and different businesses out being engaged there as a community. I've had a chance to attend a couple of Mosley football games, and so that's been real exciting. They're, as far as I'm concerned, the city champs or the county champs. They've beat everybody in Bay County so far, so they're like #1 football team for Bay County. And so we'll see what they do this Friday night. And most recently was able to attend the 9/11 service on this past Saturday. Thank you to the commissioners that were able to come. Thank you to the city manager and her staff for coordinating that 9/11 service. For everyone that I talked to about it, they felt that it was very moving, and it was a great way to honor our first responders. And so it was also good to see our new fire engine on display that day. And so it was a very good service, and think that those who were able to attend appreciated our efforts there. In regards to citizens' concerns, I've been able to meet with a few citizens over the past couple of weeks, and we meet there in the office to discuss whatever issues they would like to, try to get resolved. And so after discussing those issues with them, then I'll follow up with the city manager and just ask her to follow up with staff to try to help resolve those issues. And so, of course, some of the biggest concerns were stormwater, and so we talked about some stormwater issues. And then also had a chance to meet with Mr. Larry Bollinger prior to our pre-commission meeting, just to talk about some of his ideas on alleviating maybe the traffic concerns that we were having as a commission. And so after meeting with him, followed up with the city manager to let her know what him and I had discussed, and then she was able to direct staff on how to address those issues with Mr. Bollinger. Stormwater. Of course, our last meeting, we had a lot of public commentary as it related to stormwater, and I shared with you all that stormwater will be a priority for me as a mayor to try to do what we can to help alleviate a 100-year issue. So a 100+ year issue certainly cannot be resolved overnight, but I think we can take incremental steps in order to improve the parts of our city according to our plan. And so one of the things that we're going to do, I also spoke with city manager about this, is I think some of the concerns that our citizens have could be alleviated through just us communicating more as it relates to the stormwater projects that we're completing and sort of the direction that we're moving. And so beginning next month, our first commission meeting of the month will have a stormwater report to the commission. And so our stormwater team will come and give a report to the commission. And of course, the citizens will be here to be able to hear that report as well, or follow up later on online to watch the video to get that report. And so I think just communicating what we're doing will be part of that as well. Right after we had our meeting, our last commission meeting on that Tuesday evening, Wednesday morning, city manager called a staff meeting with her directors. I was able to attend that to discuss every single issue that was mentioned about stormwater by the citizens. And so in case the citizens don't think we're listening while we're here, city manager documented every single complaint as it related to stormwater. And so we talked about how staff could help alleviate and address some of those issues with an immediate, sort of an immediate fix. Some of them, of course, are going to be taking some time to alleviate, but what are some quick fixes? What are some things that we can do to help with that? So in some ways, in many ways, appreciate the input that you provided during the last commission meeting, as it brought our attention to some areas and provided some ideas that we could utilize as a city to help alleviate some of the stormwater. One of the things that the city is working on now as it relates to stormwater, Mr. Bobby Baker, the Director of Public Works, informed me that they will be working on sort of creating a more stringent development order. Instead of having a 25-year stormwater, it'll be a 100-year stormwater. And so that's something that they're working with Amanda Richardson on in regards to planning. So hopefully within the next month or two, we'll see a resolution on that to see that we're trying to become more strict on that. Also was able to be a part, and this was actually before the last commission meeting, I believe, but was able to be a part of a DOT meeting held there in the city, the temporary city hall, and that was actually in response to a letter that our city manager sent to the State Department regarding issues that we were having on 390. And so we're able to follow up on that, and some things that were going to be delayed by 2 or 3 months. The state has put some speed on it and said that they'll try to help get some of those issues on 390 alleviated within the next 3 to 4 weeks. And so we're looking forward to 390, sort of moving further down the road so that we can help alleviate some of those stormwater issues for our residents. Also, city manager, city staff, myself, we got a lot of phone calls. Of course, all of us did as a commission, a lot of phone calls from residents in Havenwood. And so city manager, staff, myself met with the owner of the Havenwood complex and discussed some stormwater options with him. And we're hoping to move forward with that once city attorney and everyone gets all that figured out, the legalities of it, that we can try to help provide some relief, or that through that discussion that there'll be some relief provided to the residents of Havenwood through that discussion with their owner. Also, we know there are some complaints and even some presentations given to us for the residents on Dundee and Mowat Highlands in regards to that new development. Again, city manager, staff, myself had a meeting with Panhandle Engineering and GCUC and asked them to revise their plan for stormwater. And so that plan has been revised, and on tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. there on site, Panhandle Engineering will be there to meet with the residents of Mowat Highlands to discuss what that revision is. And so if you're a resident of Mowat Highlands, please come out tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. on site to meet with Panhandle Engineering so that you can get the update on what that plan is for that revision regarding the new Andrews Place that is there. In my final remarks, want to, I guess, just try to answer some of the questions that I can answer. In regards to a traffic engineer, I believe the city manager can speak to that, where we are in the process with that. In regards to a budget committee, I know different people have recommended a budget committee. I know Commissioner Workey brought that up. Today we had a budget meeting. Less than 5 people came to that budget meeting today. So I know we're saying that there are many people who want to be a part of our budget committee, but we have more people at our commission meeting than we did at our budget committee meeting. I'm not saying we have to go out and rally people to come to the budget committee meeting, but again, there were less than 5 people at the budget committee meeting today. So I think numbers speak volumes at times. And so when we talk about trust, and even when we had our public commentary in regards to the budget, we didn't have any questions about it from the public. So again, I'm just making observations of what I see with that. So that's my thought as it relates to the budget committee. I think that's something we'll probably discuss again, as a commission, more than likely, but that's my thought on that. In regards to the signs, those were not actually purchased by the city. That was purchased by CRA. And so that was not city funded. That was CRA. So that would actually be something to follow up with the CRA on as they spent that. In regards to emailing commissioners, I try to respond to every email I get. Obviously some people don't like the responses that I give, and that's okay. But I do try to respond, with every email I get, whether I agree or disagree. And sometimes I just don't want to debate on email, and sometimes things are better discussed in person or via telephone. But I can't speak for the other commissioners, but I do try to respond to every email I get so that people would know that they're being heard and that their concerns are being noted. And so that is my report. Commissioner Aldridge. Thank you. We have our proclamation. Is there someone here from the fetal alcohol spectrum to receive this proclamation? We received a notice for this. Is there someone here to receive this proclamation for the fetal alcohol spectrum disorder awareness proclamation? All right. If not, I'll read it. Whereas children are our state's greatest blessing and asset, fetal alcohol spectrum disorders threaten not only members of our younger population, but all age groups and pose a risk to the future of our state. And whereas fetal alcohol spectrum disorders, FASD, is an umbrella term that describes a variety of conditions that can occur in an individual whose mother drank alcohol during pregnancy, FASD may affect anyone, regardless of ethnicity, income, socioeconomic status, or education. And whereas, according to the National Organization of Fetal Alcohol Syndrome, An estimated 40,000 infants are born with FASD each year. And whereas FASD is completely preventable when pregnant women abstain from alcohol during pregnancy, and whereas FASD may contribute to numerous social issues and developmental disorders, including learning disabilities, scholastic failure, juvenile delinquency, homelessness, unemployment, mental illness, and criminal behavior. Those with FASD are 19 times more likely to experience an intellectual disability, 7 times more likely to experience attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and 3 to 5 times more likely to experience a learning disability. And whereas FASD is often referred to as the invisible disability, it can have a heightened impact on children in foster care and those in the custody of the Department of Juvenile Justice. And whereas children and adults affected by FASD can succeed with proper treatment, appropriate strategies, interventions, and interdependence. Increased public awareness of the effects of prenatal consumption of alcohol for primary prevention and the need to support individuals with FASD and their families will contribute to the productive development of these individuals and help improve their family stability and quality of life. And whereas it benefits all residents of the city of Lynn Haven to promote awareness of the effects of prenatal exposure to alcohol, to increase compassion for those individuals so affected, minimize further effects, and thus ensure a healthier community in the future. Now, therefore, by the virtue and authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Lynn Haven, on behalf of the city commission and all the citizens of Lynn Haven, I do declare September as Fetal Alcohol Spectrum Disorder Awareness Month by proclamation. In witness whereof, I do hereby set my hand and cause a seal of the city of Lynn Haven affixed this 15th day of September, 2021. Commissioner Aldridge.
Thank you, Mayor. It's been 3 weeks, I think, since we met last, and not much to report outside of the normal day-to-day commission stuff, the emails and the calls that we get. The only couple things I'd like to mention is we did have the 9/11 remembrance Saturday morning, and again, I want to echo the mayor here, thank our staff that worked, put that thing together. I thought it was a very moving tribute. You know, those of us who remember that day and are alive, and you may think, well, that's everybody, but actually people that are 20 years old weren't born now when that took place. The children don't remember it. But to all the adults, I see tears come to their eyes when the fire trucks and the sirens are going off and the noise, and it just takes you right back, you know, to 2001. But it was a wonderful tribute, and I'm thankful for everyone for that. Let's see, what else did we have here? Other than that, we had our budget workshops, had some talks with the city manager. I'm happy with the way things are going with it. I think the city's done a great job, and I want to thank our staff that's worked on this. Anybody that's worked on a budget or looked at a budget, it's not like going to Disney World. It's not a lot of fun, okay? But they buckled down, they did it, and we've got a good outcome in my opinion. So thank you to all the city staff and employees for all your hard work. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Perno.
Thank you, Mayor. I too attended the 9/11 ceremony, and I'll tell you, the gentleman who works for the city that sang the national anthem, that was very moving. It was awesome. I also think that everybody, the first responders, I thank them every time I do a report, but and to acknowledge them on 9/11 and what they did that day was truly heartwarming to see. You know, just we gotta remember. You know, I mean, I don't know where you were when it happened, but everybody kind of says, you know, where were you? You know, but the budget, as far as the budget goes, I think this year we did a really good job getting pulled in one-to-one with Kiki and the city manager, and it was definitely a good way to look at the budget versus us going through it, you know, on page by page and at a workshop. We actually got a lot out of that. had a little bumpy issue with a code enforcement issue, but I got educated on the new statute as of July 1 about anonymous complaints. I had an issue just recently, and it got handled, but I felt a little slighted because it was like I was trying to help somebody, but then I was getting told, there's this statute or this new way of handling the code enforcement issues that someone has to actually contact code enforcement. We can't speak on anyone's behalf. It has to be the person to do the complaint, and I don't know if I agree with that because our goal is to help the citizen, but it is what it is. That's Florida statute now. So, and then today, as of most of the day today, I was on a webinar with the St. Joe St. Andrews Bay Estuary Program, which is now has a director in place. The management board is actually working on projects, and it ties the whole Panhandle together, the Choctaw Bay Estuary Program, the Escambia Bay Estuary Program, and now the St. Joe and St. Andrews Bay Estuary encompasses the whole Panhandle. And it was stated today that they're going to be a guiding force for resiliency in our water projects going forward in protecting our waterways and our sea life and our coastal areas. With stakeholders involved, also with developers and whatnot. So I really look forward to the future and what that program brings. So, and with that, I thank everybody. So.
Thank you, Commissioner Perno. Commissioner Ward?
I don't have a whole lot to report. Of course, concerns from residents, most of them stormwater, trying to deal with those. I did have a sit down with one of the residents. Got to talk to them about some of the concerns that they had. I did attend the quarterly ethics training they had for, it was council and staff relations. And there's a Florida League of Cities is having a new orientation for newly elected officials, which I plan on attending. So look forward to that. And talking about the budget, yeah, we, in case you didn't know, each one of us got to sit down with the city manager and the finance director, went line by line. It was a big learning experience for me. Got to ask a lot of questions, got a lot of answers to my questions. It is a big process, I get that. And as the mayor alluded to, yeah, I was the one that brought up about having a budget advisory committee, and I do believe that it's a good idea. It's not, that I'm thinking the city is doing anything wrong or anything like that, but I think we have a lot of smart residents that have new ideas, and sometimes when you dive into something, maybe they might find something that we didn't. But I do think it's important, and not only that, I'll just come out and say it. If you look in the past, city managers that we had before, we did have a rogue city manager in Lynn Haven. And I think having that committee would have been an important committee to have during that time. And I think it just keeps good checks and balances because you're going to always have different people in the city. It's just the nature of the beast. So I am a proponent for that, but I would like to hear citizens' inputs on that. Speaking of which, on the 25th of this month at 11 o'clock at Slim Chickens, I do this once a month where it's time, I set time aside for residents to come and talk with me and discuss issues they have or suggestions or ideas. And I love doing that. I like to hear what residents have to say. So if you have time, you'd like to come talk to me, I'd like to talk to you and listen to some ideas you have. And that's pretty much all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Tender?
Thank you, Mayor. I have gotten a lot of answers to most of the residents' concerns. I have one that I forgot to tell the city manager about the other day when we met. I'm still getting requests for speed bumps on 8th Street. So I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know what we can do about it, but I promised her I would bring it up. And the other one, Chris Lightfoot just answered my question before the meeting. I've had a lot of residents asking what's with the sidewalk by Popeyes on 15th Street. And Chris just told me that it's a CRA project. And I know he can't come up and explain, but I would like to hear if you're going around the block or you're just going that one block, Ben. Okay? And I had a lady come in this morning about Pine Tree, Redbird. The water's bubbling up, and Chris just informed me also right before the meeting that we had to replace a leaking pipe on Minnesota, and hopefully that's helped that a great deal. I have to say that the Budget Oversight Committee or Advisory Committee, I would like for us to sit down and maybe come up with a format or something, a way to do this, rather than just throw it out there and let everybody sit around and talk. Also at the pre-meeting last Friday, I brought up grievance committee suggestion. I brought this up about 3 years ago, asking the commission to consider having an employee grievance committee. I just think it's a good idea no matter what employees are unhappy about. I feel like we're losing a lot of employees, and I just feel like they deserve a place to go to voice their concerns. And other than that, I did not attend the 911 ceremony, which I did watch on video, and it looked very nice. I was attending the funeral of a past mayor, Bob Gardner. So I regret that I couldn't be there, but his funeral took priority for me. So thank you.
Thank you. This time we'll have the city manager's report.
Yes, I'm going to ask Kiki Roman if she'll come up first for any financial update questions.
Good evening.
I just wanted to thank you. I know that when the last warrant list came out, I sent you a list of about 10 or 15 checks that you gave me the explanations for, and I really do appreciate it.
My pleasure, anytime.
Thank you.
And thank you for the one-on-one, the budget talk. It was really good. So the way you prepared it this year and took it down to us, it was well received. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Next, I want to start something that we actually started this right before the pandemic, and then we start meeting virtually and kind of cut it off, and I really want to start this back, is we were doing departmental updates. A lot of times you get a chance to talk to the department heads, but you don't get a chance to talk to people who are on the front line and actually hear from them. And so one of our employees, and one of the things that I say in every newsletter is my door is always open. They know that. They can call me and talk to me about anything, whether they're happy or unhappy. Reached out to me and said, I'd just like to do departmental update and explain some things that maybe citizens and the commission does not know. These employees are very passionate about their jobs. And they should be. We support them in every single way that we possibly can. But I think it would be great just to hear from some of the employees that are on the front line. So today, John Lane. John is the utility maintenance supervisor, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about the sewer spills and some of the things that he does. And John, thank you so much. John also was the one that came to me about doing Red Shirt Day for the veterans every Friday, or for the military every Friday. And so employees, this is on their own dime, bought shirts, and we're going to start that very soon. So thank you, John.
All right. Thank you for having me, City Manager Gaynor, Mayor Nelson, Commission. Thank you. I prepared a little statement. I'll breeze through it pretty quick. Well, 2.5 pages. I would like to thank you for allowing me the time to come up here and speak. I want to address some of the misconceptions and misinformation that is frequently circulated through social media and word of mouth on our city sewer issues during these major storm events and rainfalls that we have. I hope to provide with a different perspective, maybe from an operational point of view, something you may not hear too often. And I am also a tax-paying resident of Lynn Haven, so I'm doubly vested in what I do here for you. My job as utility maintenance supervisor is to oversee the operation and maintenance of all 78 of the city's lift stations. We also conduct and oversee electrical and heavy maintenance at both potable water treatment plants, our wastewater treatment plant, our reclaimed water facilities, and all 5 of our potable water wells. This is done with a crew of 4 people, including myself. Let's see. And so we are operational 24/7. We have work full days to be called back out and work all night until the sun comes up. Thankfully, that doesn't happen frequently. Utility employees are never guaranteed any days off. We can be recalled at any time, and we are always available and willing to come out and do what we have to. And there are lots of people out there who do appreciate what we do, and there are some that do seemingly take pleasure in bashing the city and its employees. We take that in stride. It's no big deal. We do what we do. But I do hope to inform everyone and clarify for those who do have questions a little bit about what actually happens during these times. On a typical sunny day in the city of Lynn Haven, our wastewater treatment plant will process approximately 1.6 million gallons of wastewater, give or take. This is referred to as our influent, and this is all measured at our wastewater facility. It's all recorded. There are rarely issues with sanitary sewer overflows outside of a catastrophic pipe failure or pump failure at one of our lift stations. It just really doesn't happen often. And all of our lift stations do have 2 pumps for redundancy. Both pumps will begin pumping long before the sanitary wet well reaches a high level, which will trigger an alarm. During recent major storm events, the treatment plant saw approximately 4 million gallons per day. There was even a 5 million gallon day reported. And this was measured at the plant. So water was flowing from some manholes throughout the city, and that was well documented. Everything was accounted for that we could account for. And this is happening actually through a process called inflow and infiltration. This is when you have stormwater, groundwater, surface water that gradually finds its way into the sewer system. Inflow is when you actually have a direct path. That's when you have a broken pipe or you have a manhole that allows it in, anywhere that's actual direct path to it. It's not because the lift stations are broken. It's not because the lift stations are not functioning. They're actually functioning quite well, and that's a lot of the reason why you're seeing it come out of the manholes. Our collection system is comprised of both gravity sewer and force main systems, which are under pressure. These force mains are going to win over the gravity systems every time, and they're all fighting to get into the same collection basin at our sewer treatment plant. And the sewer system and the stormwater systems are 2 completely separate systems. The sewer collection system was never designed or intended to handle stormwater. And I've heard it mentioned and questioned if we could pre-pump all of our stations down prior to storms. And if we were, in fact, to do so, the critical stations would be full again before we even got to the next station to pump it down. This would effectively just pre-surge the rest of our affected gravity and force main piping, leading to faster spills and less capacity to handle the impending storm surge from the inflow and infiltration. If the wastewater system was not being inundated with stormwater, imagine, if you would, how much worse flooding would be citywide. That would be an additional 2.4 million gallons, given the numbers from the last storm events, that would be flooding the streets and homes. And if you go by the same numbers from the last storm events. The lift station alarms and strobe lights. I'm sure some of you have seen them. You can hear them. The ones that are equipped with them, they are loud. When they're flashing and the horn is going off, it doesn't mean that your sewer is going to back up into your house in the next 5 minutes. In fact, not all residents or neighborhoods in the city of Lynn Haven are serviced by lift stations. They are often some of the first things to get blamed when somebody does have an issue, which is understandable. Maybe they don't know whether, you use water, it goes out, you count on it to happen. Let's see, and also these alarms, they are set off to go well before these sanitary wet wells overflow. We've got plenty of time to respond to them before they go, and if the lift station is alarming, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not functioning either. You can still have both pumps functioning, everything is still working. It could be just a different switch has failed, but it will still be 100% functional, but we still do need to go and check and see what's going on with it. Could be anything from a loss of power even, which we do have a generator that we can drag around and we can get things back up and running as we need. But often it is because of a high well. Sorry. A big part of it is that they were never designed to handle stormwater. And I know that's something that we're working diligently on getting fixed too. They do kind of work hand in hand right now. They're helping each other, so to speak. The Utilities Department has completed major projects to complete, repair, and replace piping in the most problematic areas first. There have also been major steps taken to update and refurbish many of the city's aging lift stations, along with plans to elevate stations that service commonly flooded areas. We have been and will continue to update and rehab our aging lift stations. We're doing so at an average rate of 3 major contracted jobs and 4 to 7 in-house jobs per year. This will go a long way in helping reduce the unintentional inflow and infiltration at lift stations and prevent them from being floor drains contributing to the water seen coming from the manholes, but it will not stop it. Example, if I were to take a 5-gallon bucket and pour 2 gallons of water into it, that would be your average flow for the city of Lynn Haven that the sewer treatment plant would see. If you then take another 5-gallon bucket full of water and dump it into that same bucket containing 2 gallons, it's going to go somewhere. That bucket can't contain it. In closing, I do want to clarify that the city does not and never will intentionally initiate a sanitary sewer overflow. In fact, there are many steps taken to avoid these incidents whenever possible. The truth is that it will cost millions to remedy both sewer and stormwater. The planning, implementation, and building for future expansion of the wastewater plant and our sewer collection system will go a long way in remedying these sewer issues. The hurdle here is to build and upgrade faster than the existing outdated parts fail. So, again, thank you for having me up.
Thank you. Any questions for John?
I just want to say that when I toured the waste management down there, well, I've been into your plant over here in 77, but as well as down on by Kinsall, it was the most interesting thing I have ever seen. And I think everybody, if we could do it, which I know we can't, but it's just a sight to behold. And I think you guys should have 24/7 DoorDash delivery for what you do. I don't know. It was just amazing. And my hat's off to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, John.
All right, thank you.
All right. A couple other things. Table talk went very, very well. Got some good information and ideas. One of the ideas, and I totally agree with the gentleman that was there. Sometimes the city does not do a very good job of communicating the good things that we're doing within the city. And sometimes residents come back and say, oh, you guys have already done that. So we are really reworking the way we communicate with our residents and putting information out. One of the things that we have in our STRAC plan is to do a Love Lynn Haven video of residents throughout Lynn Haven that we'll post on the website, Facebook, and really say why you love Lynn Haven, what are some of the most attractable things about Lynn Haven, and you know, what you see the future of Lynn Haven being. And so we're going to be looking for some of those residents to do just a short video and place it up and have fun with it, because this is a great place to live. There was a question asked about the RFQ traffic engineering that has been written and is in final review. We know that it is budgeted for next year. There's money in the budget for that next year in case we need to have that, and that will probably go out to bid, I'm assuming probably next week, because it'll be a next year budget and not a this year budget. We did send out notices about the closure of the streets. I think we started sending those notices out and posting about 6 days ago. Matter of fact, when we started having the meetings with Culpeper, one of the big things that we all said, we've got to make sure we get this out to residents. And we are going to put up some flashing signs and a sign so that people will know that this street will be closed, and make sure safety. One of the things that we did stress to our construction company, safety is our #1 priority. Of course, it is theirs as well. But we want to protect our residents. And so, Mr. Schultz, I want to make sure that you know that we keep you in mind, and we'll make sure people know about it even more. The next thing is that we did meet with FDOT, and we think we've gained a little bit of ground there. We met with the Secretary of Transportation along with some other folks, because we were having some flooding issues that attributed to a lot of our flooding issues that shouldn't have attributed to our flooding issues. And now we have a weekly meeting. Chris Lightfoot has that weekly meeting with one of the people at FDOT. They go over their sites that have been some very problem areas. We know that they've been cleaning out their ditches, and they are going to reroute some traffic. We're working hand in hand as a partnership, but we had to bring some things to their attention that was really hurting the city of Lynn Haven when it came to flooding throughout the city. And then lastly, yes, we did meet all of the commissioners, and I spent about 2 hours or more together talking about the budget, helping them to understand how long it takes to put together a budget, and we just don't start at month process. This is probably a 3 or 4 month process, and we look at all areas, forecasting, trending. All of those things are part of putting together a budget, and I think it was so very helpful to be able to do that again this year with the commissioners and the mayor. And just want to thank everyone for coming out to the September 11th event. It was really a great event, and we appreciate the City of Lynn Haven and all of our residents for coming out and attending. And that is my report.
Thank you. City Attorney.
I just want to give you an update. Probably 18 months ago, over a year ago, the city elected to participate in the class action opioid litigation. I did hear from those attorneys today. There's a separate class action attorneys that are handling it. And there's a nationwide settlement. Each of the attorney generals of all the different states have kind of taken charge of that. And basically, we're at a point now where we need to decide whether to opt into that settlement or opt out of it and try to pursue the litigation separately, which they said wouldn't be time or cost effective. I did speak to both of our chiefs. What it's looking like, if we opted in, we would bring back a resolution at the next meeting to formally do that, and nothing would really come until the next budget, like the 2022-2023 budget year. And it would trickle down from the state to the counties to the cities. They're looking right now at maybe $7,500, $8,000 for the first year, and that would go on for 18 years. So you'd get, say $6,000 to $8,000 a year has to be spent on anti-opioid prevention, the drugs that the fire department keeps with them, that sort of stuff. They said they'd be able to spend $8,000 easily on that sort of stuff every year. So that's something we'll be bringing back next week for you guys to decide whether to opt in. But the class action attorneys are recommending to do so, and it sounds like a good idea. That's it.
So for clarity, did you all say that they're going to buy $8,000 worth of drugs, or I'm just clarifying because they said they could easily spend that.
So, it's Narcan. It's it reverses the effects of somebody who's overdosing on a opioid. There's drugs they can give them to reverse the overdose, basically. So that would be a big chunk of that budget, I would think. The rest can be spent on prevention, prevention techniques, banners, different campaigns that they could do, ad campaigns, stuff like that.
Okay. Now, do you need a motion from us to move forward with that?
No, we'll actually bring back a resolution.
Okay.
They want us to do a formal resolution. So those class action attorneys have actually sent me a draft this afternoon that we'll put on the next agenda.
Okay, thank you. Now our consent agenda, looking at the minutes from 8/24/21, the regular meeting minutes. We need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been motion and second. City Manager, if you will call the vote.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Parno,
Yes.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes. Motion passed. Looking at our old business, agenda item number 11. And this is only a discussion of ordinance number 1117, proposed amendments to section 4.0201B of the Unified Land Development Code for the 1911 Historic Plat Overlay. Is there any further? I know we talked about some of this Friday. We've also received some updated information from one of our citizens, which we referenced on Friday. And so something that, some specific numbers that we might be able to consider as it relates to this particular ordinance. So is there any comments from the commission?
Are those numbers that you have in front of you from the gentleman out here in the audience?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I would like to entertain taking a look at this a little bit more,
Okay.
because, I mean, I'm all for it, I'll say that publicly, but I also think maybe we should take a look at what he's saying, and as far as dividing things up. I don't know if anybody else feels the same, but I would make a motion that we table it
Yeah,
until we can look into it.
Well, this is only for discussion, so we won't actually vote on it until the next commission meeting when Commissioner...
It was tabled to the next meeting, so we can,
Right.
at that point in time, we can table it again if someone wants to make that motion, or we can consider it, but it was tabled to the 28th.
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Tender. I don't know that we should rush this. There's been a lot of information slung at us over the last few weeks since we've discussed this. A lot of residents have had some ideas or some thoughts, developers, real estate agents, homeowners in the area. And a lot of different people have a lot of different thoughts that are good, and so I don't think we should fastball this. I think we should slow walk it and make sure we get it right. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. It's just my 2 cents.
I know we have our pre-commission meeting coming up, so this is something that we can interject into that discussion when we have that, is reviewing this. Does everyone have a copy?
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't have a copy, but I did see it when he brought it by.
Okay.
I feel like it's something, though, that we need to discuss where the residents can participate. You know what I'm saying? If we discuss it, we're just going to throw around things we don't necessarily understand.
Well, they'll be able to participate during the actual commission meeting after that, whenever we get ready to vote on it, or if we decide to vote on it, then there'll be time for their discussion then.
Okay. I just definitely want a copy of what he handed out.
I'll make sure you all have one.
Thank you.
All right. Agenda item number 12, discussion only of development order application for North Bay Haven Charter Academy, Marine Science and Administrative Building, 1 Buccaneer Drive. City Attorney.
Right, I know we talked about this Friday. I mean, basically, we had the initial development order application that died for a motion with a lack of a second, and so we were in the position of, we could actually issue an order, a formal order of denial, which would give them their appeal rights. But the representative of the school came back. I know they came at the last meeting and presented you all with a letter. I know some of you had spoken to them. They came and spoke on Friday with some alternative ideas, with some new striping, maybe sharing in a traffic study, that sort of stuff. So their preference, and I spoke to their attorney, would be to have us reconsider it with those additional contingencies. And so at this point, we really just need direction whether we're just going to deny it and go that route, or put it back on the next agenda for reconsideration with the additional contingencies that Mr. Bollinger presented to you all.
Now, if we wanted to put it on the next agenda, would we need to have a vote here on that for the next agenda?
Well, I really just need, you don't need to vote on it. You're not going to vote to approve it. I just would need some consensus whether you guys want to hear it on the next agenda. I know there was some talk about maybe trying to punt it to the planning board. So we just need direction whether to put it on planning board or bring it back on the next agenda. That's all.
All right. Any thoughts on that?
I said my thoughts at the pre-commission meeting where, I think, I don't know this for sure, but I believe if there was a school representative at the planning board, I think, because there was a couple different stories going around about student attendance capacity and things like that. And it was voted, 6-1, not recommended not to do it. And I value what we get from the planning board, and I want them to know that. And so that's why I believe that this needs to go back through the process, go back to the planning board, let them hear what they think, because that's really what they volunteered to do. Because I think that what the planning board does is important. And so that's my recommendation.
All right, planning board, Commissioner Tender.
I tend to agree with Commissioner Warwick. My only concern the very first time, I would have voted that right through had I known what we know now and the fact that he brought this further information. My concern was only for the safety of the children, and with all the extra traffic involved in construction of a building this size, I was concerned about their safety and, trucks coming and going and all of that. But at the last meeting, at the pre-meeting, he certainly satisfied my concerns as far as they park them off premise, they come in at a certain time, after school started, they leave, and at a certain time, I think they're taking care of all my concerns. So I think we need to, if the planning board needs to hear that again, because I don't believe he spoke at the planning board, did he?
I don't think so.
No? No. I would recommend it go back before them, just so that we're all on the same page, talking about the same issues.
Your thoughts, Commissioner Aldridge?
Yeah, we talked about it Friday, and to me, it's when Mr. Bollinger said that they have plenty of time. They weren't planning on doing anything until next year anyway, as far as development or breaking ground. Everyone knows where I stand on this. I made the motion on the last one, so I'm all for the school. That being said, I'm also bound by my own words to an extent, because when we had some guys in here back a couple months ago, they said, "Are you a process person or a results person?" I was the process person. So if we want to go back through the process, I'm not going to fight that at all. So maybe the planning commission can make a good decision this time.
All right. Any thoughts, Commissioner Perno?
Same.
All right.
So go back to the planning board.
Yeah. So we don't need to vote. We've consensus. Like I said, it's only going to delay things 2 weeks because we'll put it back on our. I think the planning board is going to meet between now and our first October meeting. So we'll get with Amanda to be sure it's back on the next planning board agenda, and then depending on their recommendation, it'll be back for our first October meeting.
Thank you. And just a side note that do know that as a commission, by doing this, and I'm not saying I'm in disagreement with this, that we are setting a precedence for our other boards that we should also listen to their recommendations as well, whether it's the CRA or other boards. And sometimes our boards, I think, as we mentioned on Friday, don't feel like we're listening to them, that they make a recommendation and we don't take it seriously. We just sort of make our own decision. So just just know, I think, moving forward that we're setting that precedent, that we are going to be a commission that really takes seriously what our citizen-led boards are recommending to us. All right, this time we move on to agenda item number 13. This will be our public hearing, the second reading of amended ordinance number 1115, City of Lynn Haven special events, ordinance providing for the regulation of special events in the City of Lynn Haven. City Manager, if you would read this ordinance by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, regulating special events in the City of Lynn Haven, creating Article Special Events of Chapter 42 of the City's Code of Ordinances, creating definitions, requiring permits, providing for suspension of permits, regulating events on city-owned property, regulating spontaneous, unpermitted events, providing application and permit fees, providing for appeal, providing for enforcement and penalties, repealing provisions of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for codification and reciting an effective date.
Thank you. City Attorney?
In fact, we've beat this one to death. This is, round two, and it's just city public property. I mean, everybody, I think, is familiar with it.
All right. Agenda item number 14. We need a vote on that one. Do we need to make a vote on this?
That's, second reading.
All right.
Move to approve.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the commission? Any discussion from the public? Not, City Manager, if you'll call the vote.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes. Motion passed. Agenda item number 14, discussion and possible approval of donation of unbuildable parcel 1107-1-000-000 to the city by Mr. Atzberger.
Right, so a citizen came to us wanting to donate some land. It's a 3-acre parcel in the Maryland Avenue vicinity. It is, I think it's designated as wasteland. I think it's really mostly just wetlands or submerged area. Talked to city staff. They thought it may be beneficial for our stormwater system if we need it for, land donations with, different grant agencies, or just keep it for our stormwater system. So before getting a deed and getting it recorded, we wanted to have the commission approve accepting that donation, so somebody just doesn't come and record a deed on us. We need to actually accept the donation, and we can be sure the deed gets delivered and recorded.
I know we discussed some of this on Friday. Is there any further discussion from the commission about this?
Nope.
Is there a motion for this?
So move.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the public? City Manager, if you'll call the vote.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes. Agenda item number 15, small scale future land use map amendment, SSA 2106 for 1220 Ohio Avenue, mixed use to commercial. First reading, ordinance number 1118.
First reading by title only.
An ordinance providing for the adoption pursuant to Chapter 163 Florida statutes of a land use change from mixed use to commercial for approximate 0.334 plus or minus acres of property located on Ohio Avenue in the city of Lynn Haven, Bay County, Florida, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing an effective date.
All right.
Did you need a presentation on this?
Any questions from the commission about it?
I think we need a presentation.
Okay, thank you. I have one here. I was just waiting for it to come
I
up.
got an email from a citizen who wants to speak on behalf of this. So.
And that'll be at the second reading of it when they'll be able to speak
Right,
on it.
right.
Yeah.
The clicker isn't working, but I can explain it to you. So this is the first reading of Ordinance 1118, a request for a small-scale future land use map amendment for a portion of parcel 10000-000-000, lots 11 and 12, being a total of approximately 0.344 acres in size. The parcel is currently vacant and located at 1220 Ohio Avenue. It's been requested by the owner that the future land use map designation of lots 11 and 12 be allowed to be changed from mixed use to commercial so that they will have the same land use as the other two lots within the same parcel. Lots 9 and 10 currently have a commercial future land use map designation. Therefore, the parcel currently has two land uses upon it. The current land use of adjacent properties is as follows. To the north is mixed use, to the south is mixed use, to the east is commercial, and to the west is mixed use. I will pull it up now. This is it here. As you can see, here is, let me get the land use. Oh no, sorry, hold on a second. Just flick through these. Okay, so this is the parcel. It's in between Ohio and Florida. It has 4 lots located upon it. The lots on the east are commercial, and the lots on the west, the 2 lots on the west, are mixed use. So this is how it currently looks. One parcel with 2 different land uses upon it, and what the applicant would like to do is change the 2 mixed use lots to commercial so that the entire thing is commercial, so it has the same land use on the whole parcel instead of 2.
Any questions from the commission? Any questions, Commissioner Perna?
Just that lots 11 and 12 are more in residential neighborhood than lots 9 and 10, correct?
That's right, yes. Although what you're looking at here is you can see that across the street from Florida Avenue, on this portion of Florida Avenue, is mixed use. There is no low density residential. So this parcel, this half of the parcel that they want to change is currently mixed use, and it's actually surrounded by mixed use, but then has a commercial kind of catty corner. There isn't any low density residential there. That's not to say there aren't any houses there, but there's no low density residential land use. You can see there are houses there.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Agenda item number 16, small scale future land use map amendment, SSA 21-07, Florida Avenue, parcel number 09178-010-000, mixed use to commercial, first reading ordinance number 1119. City Manager, if you would read this by title only.
An ordinance providing for the adoption pursuant to Chapter 163 Florida statutes of a land use change from mixed use to commercial for an approximate 0.427 plus or minus acres of property located on Florida Avenue in the city of Lynn Haven, Bay County, Florida, repealing all ordinances conflict herewith and providing an effective date.
Thank you.
It has been requested by the owner of this parcel that the future land use map designation be allowed to be changed from mixed use to commercial. The property is located behind the Po Folks restaurant. The owner also owns the parcel adjacent to this one on the north side. I thought it was where he currently lives. It is not where he currently lives. So I've put that in here, but I just want to let you know, Mayor, he does not currently live next to this parcel as I thought at the time of writing this car. I found out he doesn't live there.
Thank you.
The current land use of adjacent properties is as follows. To the north is mixed use, to the south is mixed use, to the east is commercial, Po Folks, and to the west is low density residential. The owner is Brian Nikkei. The agent is Bob Garrett from Coastline Engineering. This is the parcel here. As you can see, to the east is commercial, Po Folks, and there is that property, that residential house, which he also owns to the north. This is how the land use currently looks. So where Po Folks is along Highway 77 Ohio Avenue is all commercial. Where this property is, this strip behind the commercial is all mixed use, but in this case, on the opposite side of Florida Avenue is all low-density residential. What we're supposed to consider when we're looking at a land use map amendment is the consistency with the surrounding areas, and also, as with the other one, we're not supposed to, at this stage, think about any particular thing that may or may not be constructed on the parcel, but all possible uses should it be changed to the land use that they're asking for.
Thank you. Any additional questions for Planning Director?
When they had the planning board, did that individual show up to the planning board?
No, sir. And if you look at the planning board meeting minutes, the motion died. There was a motion, but it wasn't seconded or anything, and the motion died. I would like to say that the representative, the agent, did send me a couple of days ago a couple of letters from a couple of the residents who live on that street, but I believe there's also a lot of residents who may be here who live on that street that wanted to speak on this.
All right, thank you. Any additional questions?
Are we allowed to hear from those residents?
Typically, we do that on the second reading.
Can you tell, I'm sorry. Can you tell us, Amanda, did the people that contact you or the letters you got, were they opposed or in favor of?
The two that the gentleman, the representative of this gentleman sent me, both said that they did not have an issue with it. And I received them after the packets had been put together. And so I'll make sure that any letters that I received go in for the final reading in the packet so that you can see them.
And I will say we do invite the residents after the adjournment to please come and speak to us about what your concerns are on this. If you're a resident that's here today that would like to inform the commission about that, we're here. So at the adjournment, just please come up and let us know your sentiments about this agenda item.
Could I just say something real quick?
Yeah.
So when they go to the planning board, does the individual know that when the date and time of the
Yes,
planning?
sir.
Okay, that's all I had.
All right. Yes.
He's going to speak.
Ben, Mr. Jenkins, our CRA Director.
Good evening. I just wanted to point out that this item, this project was brought in front of the CRA board, I think earlier this year in June, regarding the approval of a potential trade service establishment in the CRA, and the board decided to approve this new trade service establishment contingent upon the planning board or the land use approval. So I just wanted to bring this up and make sure that this was also considered.
Thank you. All right, any further questions for Amanda on this item? All right, look at agenda item number 17, the quasi-judicial public hearing for the discussion and possible approval of development order application for Aldi Incorporated, 2260 Highway 77.
Okay, right, and this is a quasi-judicial public hearing, so if anybody's going to testify, whether it's from staff or an applicant, if you'll raise your right hand, swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. And if there's been any ex-parte communications with the developer between the commissioners, you can disclose that now?
No communication.
I've had no connection.
None.
They have taken my presentation down. I need my presentation back. Thank you. This is a development order application by Aldi Inc. Spencer Schimmel, Director of Real Estate, was the agent. The project address is 2260 Highway 77, parcel number 11667-280-009. Property size is 3.25 acres. The project engineer is ISG Minneapolis St. Paul office. The reviewing engineer was Chris Short from Dewberry. The project is an Aldi grocery store, parking and landscaping. This is the parcel where the site plan that was submitted for shows the location of the proposed Aldi. This is the site plan of the Aldi. As you can see, it's 9,209 square feet. The parking is there set out, and there is also a landscaping plan. The stormwater pond for this Aldi grocery store is already in place. I did want to tell you that we do have some representation tonight from Adam Holiday, who is the construction manager, I believe. He's not the one who actually did the engineered site plans, but he is in contact with Ryan Anderson, the project engineer. So if you had any specific engineering project type questions, I believe that he can be texting, because obviously they're in Minneapolis, texting with them to ask them the questions. I did also want to say that regarding that existing stormwater pond, the stormwater pond is large enough to accommodate this project and also the vacant parcel that is adjacent to the north, because this was a master planned commercial development. So way back before the first structure went in, which I believe was either Sunny's or Innovations, all of those properties have been accommodated for with the stormwater facility. However, that stormwater facility really needs to be cleaned and grubbed out of any undesirable vegetation now, and that was one of the comments that we had. And so I would like to recommend that if you approve this development, that it be contingent upon the stormwater pond being cleaned and grubbed of any undesirable vegetation prior to the certificate of occupancy being granted.
So that would have to be done by the...
Yes. By the people that are constructing Aldi.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. And they have said that they would. They've agreed that they would, but I would just like to, if it's okay with you, for you to make the DO contingent upon that.
Is it a 25-year pond, or is it a 100-year pond?
It's whatever we require. I can ask Mr. Holiday? I'm here. You're here, Mr. Holiday? I can tell you when we review the plans, we send them this for stormwater review. We send it to Dewberry, and they make sure that it's whatever we and the state require. I can't tell you whether it's 25 years. Bobby might be able to.
Our requirements are probably going up, so we might want to be ahead of this.
Bobby, do you know the answer to that, right?
Yes, it was designed under our current 25-year stormwater requirement. What's that? Well, we haven't passed that ordinance yet, but they're meeting the current ordinance. Mm-hmm.
Bobby, if you don't mind, I don't do stormwater, right? So what does it take? What would the extra work be? I mean, are you talking about digging the hole deeper? Are you talking about making it wider? Is it a lot of...
Yeah, it'll be probably much larger, which could impact their development. When it was designed, that open developable parcel was based on 100% impervious. That's what the storm water pond was designed at. So it is permitted per our current regulations.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any additional questions for Mr. Baker? All right. Thank you. Any discussion?
I just had a question for Commissioner Perno. So what were you asking earlier?
25-year what our requirements are, and ours are for a 25-year rain, and we were talking about upping them in the future here, near future, to possibly 50 or 100-year rain requirements because of our flooding issues. So I just didn't know where we were going with that. That's all.
So they're looking at upping it to 100-year?
We are.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
So can we?
I don't think we could put the cart before. We can't get out in front of an ordinance. You know, they're abiding by what's required right now.
Right. Yeah. We haven't adopted.
But it needs attention.
Ordinance yet.
It needs to be. So I mean, you know, if they want to come back and say, hey, they dug a little deeper or whatever, that's, you know, that's mighty neighborly of them. You know.
Are they responsible for the retention and all that?
It's
For the
it's
lifetime
private. It's private. But the thing is that pond at the time that was designed, and it still does meet our requirements, according, you know, to Bobby. But at the time, as I said, that pond was designed for the whole of that master plan commercial subdivision. So is it like the others were all okay that have been approved? Sunny's, Innovations, they didn't have to dig any deeper. This is still part of that original master planned subdivision that was approved. The stormwater pond was approved back then for the whole of that development. There's still one parcel to go that can be developed with that stormwater pond.
That pond is dry as a bone.
Yeah.
Sunny's and Innovations doesn't even get back there because it's all wet land until there. That is a, you know, that is a very low-lying area right there. So, I mean, I see it personally all the time. That whole lot holds a ton of water, you know, when it rains. So it's, you know, the lot itself is almost a retention pond right now. So when you do put impervious on there, it's going to start affecting, it's going to have to go to that pond. So.
Okay.
So.
I make a motion to approve.
You want to put the contingency?
Contingency, sir,
Contingency that they
on
dig
your
out.
motion?
With the added requirement that they clean the pond.
Yeah.
As she requested.
Okay.
She asked that it be cleaned as part of the requirement of the DO.
Okay.
Right.
Motion to approve with the contingency that they clean the pond.
I'll second.
There's been motion and second. Any discussion from the community?
I have a procedural question, and it's nothing against you, Pat, but since you have a business right there, shouldn't you recuse yourself from voting? He doesn't have to. It's not like a perception and conflict of interest or anything.
I don't think so.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
What's your thought? What are you
I
thinking? Why I should recuse myself? I rent a space right next to
Right,
there,
and that's my
in a
thought.
whole other
is-
shopping center.
Right, and that's my thought.
But
is
I
because-
look out at that every day. I welcome the whole thing.
Right. Well, my thought is, whether, regardless of what your vote would be, your business is right there.
What-
Wouldn't it be a perception problem if you voted on it and it could affect
Voting
your
as a
business?
commissioner for people who've done their diligence to develop land.
Yeah, and your obligation as commissioner is to vote and not abstain unless something affects you financially, personally, or your family. So
He would have to benefit something from it, right? Yeah.
Okay. I'm just asking because of the whole transparency stuff.
That's
you
a
know?
good question.
I'm sure. I personally believe he wouldn't let that sway his decision, but you know, with everything that goes on, just from a transparency aspect, I just wanted to make sure he didn't have to.
You want
or
me to
didn't have
recuse myself, right?
No, I was just asking if you needed to. That's all.
Does Aldi's have like a chicken wing special on Wednesdays?
What's that?
Does Aldi's have a chicken wing special on Wednesdays?
They might. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I had another comment too. I know a lot of people expressed in Lynn Haven Neighbors, the group, they expressed concern about why do we need another grocery store there. And my thought was, people that shop at Publix are not going to probably shop at Aldi. Aldi's going to compete more with Winn-Dixie and Grocery Outlet, you know, so Publix obviously isn't probably concerned, but no, just from a procedural standpoint, I just wanted to make sure you weren't catching yourself in a bad spot, Pat, that's all.
I don't work at Publix.
All right, thank you.
He was trying to protect yourself.
All right, any additional public commentary? Seeing no additional commentary, City Manager, if you'll call the vote.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner, sorry, Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes. Motion passed. Agenda item number 18, discussion and possible approval of development order application Chase Macy, 1503 Tennessee Avenue.
And Amanda's still under oath. If there's anybody else that's going to testify on this, I don't see anybody. Okay. And same thing, if there's been any ex-party communications with the commissioner, disclose those now.
No communication.
None.
This is a development order application from Chase Macy, Inc. The agent is James H. Slanina, Panhandle Engineering. Project address is 1503 Tennessee Avenue. Parcel number 10376-000-000. Property size 0.573 acres. Project engineer was James Slanina. The reviewing engineer was Chris Short from Dewberry. The project is a parking lot, stormwater facility, and landscaping. So this is the parcel here. It's immediately to the north of that, we call them strip malls. I don't know if you call them strip malls. Yeah. Where they've actually refurbished the inside, and they've created a number of new units inside, and therefore there would have been some issue with the number of parking spaces, because each of those units would have a definitive number of parking spaces required with it. And so what the owner is doing, if you recall, they changed the land use recently so that they could have a parking lot on here, and they're proposing 16 parking spaces with stormwater pond there to the north, and there will be landscaping. So right now it's a vacant property, but at the end of it you'll have parking to support that strip mall and landscaping and stormwater pond.
Thank you. Any questions for Planning Director? No questions. Is there a motion from the commission?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any public commentary? If not, City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldred?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes. Motion passed. Agenda item number 19, discussion and possible approval of comprehensive plan text amendment ESR 21-01 adoption of property rights element transmittal of resolution 2021-09-366.
This is a public hearing. This resolution number 2021-09-366 will transmit a text amendment to the comprehensive plan to the state agencies for review and permission to adopt and include said amendment into the comprehensive plan. The background is that the Department of Economic Opportunity recently informed cities and counties within Florida that Chapter 2021-195 Laws of Florida requires a local government to adopt and include the property rights element into its comprehensive plan for any proposed plan amendment initiated after July the 1st, 2021. A proposed comprehensive plan amendment is initiated on the date the amendment is first considered at a public hearing as outlined in Section 163-31744 Florida statutes held by the local planning agency. This transmittal resolution is to send a text amendment to the comprehensive plan to the state for permission to adopt the property rights element into the City of Lynn Haven comprehensive plan. So basically, we've been told by the state that we need to do this, and so this is transmitting the draft ordinance, which shows the text amendment, and they'll review it, and then they will get back to, they have 30 days to review it, then they'll get back to us and let us know whether you can go ahead and adopt it or not. And this is the language that is being entered in. This is the new property rights element. The right of a property owner to physically possess and control his or her interests in the property, including easements, leases, or mineral rights. The right of a property owner to use, maintain, develop, and improve his or her property for personal use or for the use of any other person subject to state law and local ordinances, the right of the property owner to privacy and to exclude others from the property to protect the owner's possessions and property, and the right of a property owner to dispose of his or her property through sale or gift. And these are the rights that the Commission shall be considering in local decision making if this is adopted. Thank you.
Any questions for the planning director?
No.
All right, is there a motion to approve this?
Move to approve.
Second. They both approved.
All right, so there's a motion and second. Any public commentary? No commentary. City manager will call the vote.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes. And don't forget, if you have any expressions or concerns that you'd like to address to the commission, we'll be here for a few moments, so please